we like it? Oh my lord, we are already live. I thought I was going live at 12:20, but I am not. I'm live at 12:18. So this is a little bit of a disaster because I got 2 minutes to fill, and I'm going to try and cover off with that. So basically, who am I? Why am I wearing this baggy t-shirt? Well, a long time ago, I went to New Zealand and somebody persuaded me to jump off a cliff holding a rope into a freezing cold river, and I survived somehow. And that is why I really like this 15-year-old t-shirt, because it captures for me some of the terror of being an entrepreneurship, jumping into the unknown, and then trying to figure out how to sink or swim, or in my case freeze in an icy glacier fed river, and trying to survive. And this is a big challenge. I've got about 30 seconds to go before we're going to be starting the live stream officially. When that happens, I am really gonna let rip, because we have got something good today. Right, okay, 12:20 on the dot. This session today was inspired by my friend teacher K, who was writing in a chat group, and he was saying, guys, why are you all so good at what you're doing? I just seem to be pivoting. I do a little bit of this, then I do a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and I never seem to get it to work. And this is a huge problem that a lot of entrepreneurs have. It's like, why do some people get it that they seem to get customers and they're able to sell really well to them? Why is it that other people just as hardworking, who go on the courses, who get to play, really don't manage to get it together in the same way? And I think, I mean, based on, what is it, 15 years of experience working on startups, it really comes down to one thing. Is it, do I really understand my customers? Now, you break up entrepreneurs into a couple of groups of people. And there are one group who never go out, do any research, never do any of the things that people like me or any of the other startups advice says. And they go out and it's absolutely brilliant, and they do really well. And you think, man, how did they do it? Then there's another group who go out, they do everything that they're meant to do, but it doesn't work. And then there's a final group who don't do any of the standard stuff, and it still doesn't work, and they just go down in flames. And it's like, okay, they've got no intuition, they've got no hard work, it doesn't come together. So the people who it works for, we're not going to worry about them, because hey, if it's already working for you, why do you need to be watching this? Yeah. And if you're not going to listen to me, if you're not going to listen to any advice, well, I'm not talking to you either. The people I'm talking to on this live podcast for the next 8 or 10 minutes are the people who are really struggling to connect, to get a product or a service that people really love. And often this comes down to one simple thing. It comes down to confidence. Because if you really want to know your customers, you need to be talking to them. You really need to have an incredibly deep understanding of them. And this is why the first group can work so well. My brother-in-law, I'm not sure if he finished his A level, certainly he's never gone out and done a degree, but he's got an absolute genius of going into pretty much any kebab shop in the UK and increasing its turnover by 50 to 100% in just 2 to 3 months, because he understands what the customers want, and therefore he's able to understand all the operational things that he needs to do to improve the food quality, to reduce the cost, to get the taste right so that people come back, so that people tell their friends, and he understands how he needs to make those kebabs, the fish and chips, to delight the different audiences. And London is different to Liverpool. The ethnic mix has a big impact, and he knows all this because he spent years sort of over a counter talking to them, having the banter, asking them what they want, how they like it, and adjusting his recipes for them. He's got that deep knowledge. Now, a lot of us entrepreneurs, and certainly this was true for me when I first started out, we don't have this really deep intuitive knowledge of the people that we're trying to serve. In my first startup, and we made almost 2 million sales in the first year or so. I knew absolutely nothing about the industry. I knew nothing about the market. And the way we started off, how do we start off? I didn't try and write any marketing copy or anything. My wife was the salesperson. She knew the pattern. She said, Dennis, you know shit, you know nothing. Go out and talk to people. So I went out after exhibition and I went around talking, why do you buy stuff? Who do you buy from? What do you do? Why is it important? What are the key problems? What are the biggest problems? And I just walked around. Exhibition stand after exhibition stand. Most people didn't care about steel plate. They were selling oil rigs, or they were selling ball bearings, or they were selling alarm systems for oil rigs. So they didn't care. But the people who did talked to me, and they gave me a deep understanding. Each of them 5 or 10 minutes. Then I went out and I started doing customer discovery interviews with fabricators, people, if you're in Malaysia, down at Iskandar and Johor, over at Gebeng on the East Coast, out at Kemaman Supply Base, talking to the companies out there. How do you buy steel? Who do you buy it from? What kind of steel do you want? What are the characteristics? What are you using it for? What are the problems that you face? And week after week, and going out and doing it, going into Indonesia, where you can see 2 people a day and spending 6, 8, 10 hours in a taxi on the way to some fabrication works in the middle of nowhere, gave you a really, really deep understanding of it. And the problem that a lot of us entrepreneurs have is that we do not know enough about our customers, and we're afraid. We're afraid because we have this idea of what it is that we want to deliver. And this idea is important to us. It's precious to us. What happens if that idea gets damaged? What happens if it gets challenged? What happens if it turns out not to work? So one way of psychologically protecting ourselves, our hearts, our minds, and our souls, making sure that we've got the emotional strength to keep on going, is not to talk to customers at the level of depth that we need. So we need to be going in and really understanding what it is that they want, because if we do not talk to them, if we're not prepared to accept the rejection of the idea and separate the rejection of the idea from us, so that's the idea and that's meh, this is me, I'm still fucking great, it doesn't matter what anybody says about this meh idea, I'm still great, and be able to separate those two. But a lot of us think, okay, the idea is nah, and therefore I'm meh, and then boom, it all goes wrong. So this is what is a really difficult psychological jump for most people to do, and it's to basically, as I was saying in the live stream yesterday, to say my idea is okay, but I need to go out and really talk to people. And we're not talking about 5-minute chats or 10-minute chats. We are talking either hundreds of little 5 or 10-minute chats, or lots of really deep getting down into them. I mean, certainly if you're looking at this statistically, if you're selling B2C, 400 people, 100 people is going to give you a really good sense of what's happening in a country. If you're selling B2B and you've got a much smaller market, then generally sort of 5 really deep hour-long, 2-hour-long interviews with the people that you're trying to sell to makes a huge difference. And why do you do 5? Because basically all you're doing there really is ensuring yourself that the first person that you dive into depth with is not giving you bum information, is not an absolute idiot, is not yanking your chain and just trying to screw you over because they're an arsehole and you just happen to have been unlucky enough. So you get the first one, then you do the second one, and that should validate, and it starts polishing a little bit, giving you more depth and detail and understanding. And then the third one is really sort of just, yeah, confirming everything else. As you go after that, the curve is flattening, and you should be knowing, learning less and less as you go on. And this is absolutely critical in every business that I started. My classic triathlon business, which was a huge fucking disaster. I did not go out and ask people what they wanted, what were the problems with the racing. assumed I had this idea, I built something, and I said, this is what I'm building, and people said, that's great, and then they didn't buy, because I did not take the time to ask them about my problems. I spent the time selling them what I thought they fucking wanted, and they did not want it. And so this is how we stop pivoting, is we go back to the people and we spend time talking to them, exploring, slowly probing, never talking about our idea, never talking about what we're doing, just getting pieces of evidence together, and then we come back, we assemble, and we say, okay, sorry, Mr. Nice Idea, I'm going to get the scalpel out, and I'm going to cut a big chunk of you out because you're corrupt, people don't want you. This is what we need to do in order to stop pivoting. And a lot of the time we pivot from one idea to another idea, to another idea, to another idea, and we pivot repeatedly because we're not taking the time to dive in and understand people. And I'll give you one really good current example from my life to just to close with. Yeah, I speak to 5 to 10, 20 entrepreneurs every week, talking about their problems and what they understand and where they're going from. I really get it, and I can help a great deal. I'm equally good when it comes to corporates, but this year I'm just not talking to any corporates because I can't get the personal relationships. I can't go out and visit them. I can't meet them at conferences. So a lot of the time this year, my messaging is just going meh. It's up. So this is where my business is now focusing on. I'm focusing on the people I get to talk to and understand, and it is building that depth. Get people who will talk to you and share their problems first. Then when you can express the problems that they face in language that they use to other people, then try and sell to them. And this is the best way that I've seen over the last 15 years of mentoring some of the world's best startups for some of the world's best VCs, of how to get ahead, how to cut through the crap and really accelerate your startup. Okay, so there we go. I hope that's been really, really useful. My name is Denis Oakley. I play around with startups, especially with business models, because I believe that a business model is your secret weapon. When you see an opportunity, there are going to be 1,000 other people out there trying to do the same sort of thing. The way that you get an advantage over them is having a better business model, which helps you screw them and grow faster. So please subscribe. Find me on LinkedIn, just Google Denis Oakley Innovation, or head over to my web to find out a little bit more about what we do. And feel free to ask comments or whatever. I have no idea how to do this because I didn't actually read anything on how to do live streaming before I started on YouTube. So I'm just winging this. Right, what next?